Hello, everyone. This is your friend Tom Moore coming at you live from the Spyderco Millie PM2 Para 3 Club, the club with the longest, silliest name there is. And can't shorten it, even though we post everything. That's the name, live and die by it. So, if you are not a member yet of the Facebook group, which spawned this YouTube channel, get on it, get in the actual club Facebook group. Today we are going to sharpen this, the Vero LUX. These came out a couple months ago. This is a Riot produced Vero. Joseph's first Riot made knife. And we're going to sharpen it on my new sharpener, my TSProf K03 that I got as a upgrade to my Cadet. Let's get this stuff out of the way. I still love my Cadet. I still use my Cadet. It's a little bit different. It's really good for pocket knives. Still, this is a little better for bigger knives. I use the same clamp. The single center clamp. This is the fillet clamp. So since this is the fillet clamp, it's kind of skinny. I had to put longer screws in here. So this is kind of my customized clamp. Anyway, it's what I use for pocket knives. It works well. And we're going to throw an edge, a mirror edge on this Vero. So let's get this bad boy mounted up. There is a nice flat spot right about there. We're going to try to mount to that. My methodology of how I line stuff up has kind of changed. It depends on the knife, and it has a lot to do with how much belly it has. If a knife has a lot of belly, I will tilt it this way, so it kind of makes a circle around here. This isn't so much. This is one where I'm not going to line it up with the heel to the tip, but I'm going to kind of just tilt it a little bit, kind of pivot to tip. I've heard people say that's the new cool way to do stuff, but it works well. It's mainly my biggest concern with how I mount stuff. This really will keep the bevel essentially the same, even if it's tilted a little bit, but it's working the tip, and when there's too much belly and I have to work off the side, it sucks. So this gives me a nice working surface, and it keeps it kind of consistent throughout the sweep of the knife. Let's get this really tightened in there. So this is a Vero, and I haven't sharpened a ton of Veros, to be totally honest. I've only sharpened maybe 3 or 4, and it's been a minute. So we're going to have to figure out what the angle is with the Sharpie. Let's see what we got going on in the comment section here. We got Jonathan Jetton joining us again today, and he is wondering, I guess I can pull this up the screen. Do I have any recommendations for knife scales for some Spyderco Triple B 15V knives? Depends on which one it is. For a Mannix, if you want to go the AWT route, that's extremely popular. If you're going with the PM2, though, I would go check out Barclay CNC scales. They're of equal quality as Lynch scales, but I really like some of the patterns that Barclay uses. My favorite one is called Draco's Armor. Barclay scales are super good quality titanium scales. These are called Draco's Armor. These are bronze anodized. You can always go the Lynch route. This is the Lynch Streamline. This is what I've been carrying in my pocket the last week or so. What other good scales could you check out? Rips. I'm showing all titanium scales. That's kind of what I've been into for the last year or two. I have a lot of carbon fiber Aramis scales. Aramis scales are awesome, but they're hard to get, and you have to order them from Russia. And he doesn't have all the materials he used to have available and all that jazz. So Aramises are cool. I have a ton of them. Here's my favorite one. These are Orange Alutex. Unfortunately, I don't think you can get this material anymore, so I don't recommend his stuff as much. But here's another set of Barclay scales. So Barclays are cool. And Jonathan says, I have all three models and I'm trying to keep the same theme. Then I would check out Barclay or Manix is going to throw you off. Manix is harder because there's not that many options. There's options out there. They're just a lot fewer, like the titanium route. But you go Shaman and PM2 could both bull inch scales or Barclay scales. What else we got? Rips Garage Tech. Could definitely go Rips Garage Tech route. He makes scales for all of them. I like Rip stuff a lot as well. I only have stuff that I like. I don't keep anything I don't like. So if I have it, I definitely approve of it. Max is going to throw you off, so you might have to go AWT, though, if you want to keep a consistent theme, which is not a bad thing. But the Manix on AWT scales, I see them a lot. It's not that I'm bored of them. It's just it won't stand out too much. It'll be pretty much, another AWT Manix. But let's get the Sharpie back on here. Okay. So we're going to start this because it's a Riot. We're going to start it around 20 degrees. Here's my angle cube. Just going to rough start at 20 degrees. Okay. Before I do anything else, I'm going to set these angle stops. So as you see, the stone will not go up over the face of the knife anywhere. Oh, I almost forgot the important part. Before I even do that, sometimes I get in a rush when I'm trying to set a knife up. I don't think it matters, but whenever there's a stone that could come in contact with my knife, I need to have electrical tape on it because it just stresses me out and it's too likely I'm going to screw something up or bump it with the stone. So let's get this right to the very back of the heel. This ensures that I don't hit the ricasso, base of the blade, right here when I'm sharpening, and the handle. Okay, so we have 20 degree. Let's see what's the same on the other side. A little bit off. Okay, close-ish. Side to side. There we go. So we're just going to run it along the edge. And it looks like this is sharpened 20 degrees. It's cleanly removing all the Sharpie. Get zoomed in on here. This new sharpener has a long ass rod, so it positions itself on my desk a little bit differently so I don't bang into stuff. So I'm trying to get the camera resituated to make it zoom better. This side, we're a little bit different side to side. I'm going to clamp this a little bit tighter. We're at 0.2 degrees off, which isn't a big deal. This side, it looks like it's a little bit, it's not quite as perfect, but it's 20 degrees, I'm going to say. So let me tighten it down a little bit more, see if we can get it to be a little more equal side to side. 0.2 degrees different from flip to flip. I don't usually check that measurement, but if you're off on a knife like this, like a Riot made knife, and you're not the same side to side, that means you're not clamped straight. 0.2 degrees is nothing. I'm just being there. 19.9, 20. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we're going to sharpen at 20 degrees with our 150 grit Halfstone CBN stone, premium CBN. Stones kick ass. This edge is pretty well profiled. Riot edges are very clean. Let's get this situated so I don't bump my microphone. Angle stop. Yeah, we already checked that. We have a little bit to work to do at the tip. Not much. We're just going to try to create a burr. This edge is well profiled. There's no big divots or anything in it. I'll zoom in a little bit. The marker came right off at 20. This is M390 steel, I believe. I get asked a lot about sharpening different steels, and I feel like a jackass about it because I don't pay attention when I'm doing stuff. Some steels I notice are different, but for the most part, most modern steels like M390 or S30B or 20CV or even 15B or 10B or some of the harder stuff, it sharpens pretty similarly. It's not that difficult with these stones at all. BG10 is very soft. That's one that's a little bit different, but even it can take some time to get a burr. S35DN on Chris Reeves is one steel that I've not that I have bad experience with it, but it does always take me long. I don't know why. It just takes longer to get a burr. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a better, longer lasting edge retention, but it's just the way the steel forms a burr is not the same. 15D, which is a very hard steel, is extremely quick to get a burr. And so let's see how this M390 stands up after a few passes. We are well profiled. Taking our fingernail. We got a little visual burr at the heel, which is good. Yeah, we have the formings of a visual burr. I'm going to do one more pass on it. We should be good. I like to be able to see my burr, to know what's there. You can always feel it. Some people get like microscopes out to see the soonest possible strokes that has a burr. I just like to do a little more work and make sure I'm there instead of like, I don't know, getting too particular about looking at the edge or take a Q-tip. You can take a Q-tip along the edge and pull to see if it like snags. That will find your burr. I usually just take my fingernail. There's a burr. I can see it. Not everywhere, but it's getting there. You hear it. Okay, this tip is looking good. Careful on tips. My tip on the tip. And on a new edge, I don't even know why I work tips, because factory, if you don't have to do a tip, don't do it. Like, you don't have to have a burr to the very, very tip of the tip. This is already a sharp knife. The worst thing you want to do if you're not skilled at doing tips is round it off just because of the sake of doing it. But if you are going to do a tip, put your finger underneath it, and it will keep it from rolling off and rounding your tip off. That's like my least favorite type of thing I get into sharpen or resharpen is someone had their knife sharpened and they rounded the tip. And I have to try to repoint it. It's not impossible by any means. It just takes a minute. It's probably the most time-consuming thing I do. It's repointing tips. It just takes work. This edge is coming along nicely. It's very clean. Very consistent. This has a good sharpening choil at the heel, so it's not really too much risk of hitting anything. We still got the tape there just to protect. So with the K03 sharpener, this rod is much heavier than my Cadet. So it puts a little bit of downward force on the sharpening surface. Oh yeah, we got a burr for sure. Okay, we have a visual burr, so that side is profiled. We're just going to do a quick hit on this side and make sure we can flip that burr over to the other side. You hear it. Good sound. When you have a burr, you can hear it. You know you're flipping it back over. You know you're at the right angle. I have been more precious about how much metal I remove than I used to be sharpening other knives and Spydercos. Spydercos sometimes need a lot of steel removed because the heel comes off and sometimes there's divots and weird shit in the edge. But this Riot made knives are pretty damn clean. Okay, we're just doing forward strokes, make sure everything's lined up. I'm going to guess that's good. looking, and we got a burr, the whole edge. Okay. Quick pass, mainly just to reduce it since we know we're already apexed. There's a lot of words I didn't understand sharpening for a long time. It seemed complicated, but not. Apex just means that the stone has hit the flat surface so that it's grinding away steel at the very pointed edge. So you're in your apex, you're at the right angle, and you're removing steel and you're bending that burr over the edge. You're apexed. So we're apexed. We're good. This will be a pretty simple edge. Jumping up to 400 grit. People ask me about my progression a lot. About I seem to jump up grits more. Well, Halfstone makes a ton of grits of stones. So they make like a 240, they make a 400, they make a 120. I start at 150. There's some more in there, and there's like a 600. I don't have every stone. I go from 150 to 400 to 800 to 2,000 to 5,000. And the reason I do that is the set that Halfstone puts together themselves. And since they know they're stones, I trust that that's good enough, and it gives me a mirror. You don't have to buy every single stone in their lineup to get a mirror. You'll able to remove scratches with less than all. So it's tempting to buy more stones. I've wanted to just to have them because I'm that way, but you don't need to. If you're just going to get 2 stones, if you just want to sharpen it, and it's got a satin edge, they'll cut like a mother. Just get the 150 and the 400 grit premium CBN, and like honestly, this edge is done. If you're just doing a satin edge, it looks nice. It takes like one pass to get rid of the scratches from the 400 from the 150 to the 400. It's nothing. I usually do one flip with this stone, help reduce the burr, and just come back stroke. If you have any scratches on your edge and you don't get rid of them at 400 grit, you need to stop and get them out. So I'm looking at my edge, looking for anything that's like a noticeable scratch. It's not coming out because if it is, it's not going to come out with the 800. 400 will take out most stuff. Sometimes I have to jump down to 150. I'm looking for just like right here, a little spot in the edge. Looking for a different sheen. And this one has got a little dimple right at the leading edge of the bevel. There we go. You want it to be all consistent, all uniform finish. You're going to mirror an edge. So if you're watching, thank you for joining me on this live sharpening session. It's Wednesday, September 18th at 12:45 Pacific Coast time here in Portland, Oregon. It's turning into fall, cloudy. Kids are in school. My daughter's in daycare. Son's in kindergarten. So I figured I'm going to take advantage of this and just do some sharpening and cleaning up the house today. Okay, we're definitely done. Now we're jumping to 800 grit. And 800 grit really kills the burr. You'll see a lot of dust form on the edge. It's the burr falling apart. It leaves a semi-polished edge very quickly after just like a pass. It's not a mirror by any means, but it's polished up quite nicely. And so now we're just trying to get rid of any scratches, patterns that were left by to 400, make it nice and even. And really, it doesn't take a lot of passes to do that with these stones. I probably overdo it. It's done. I always end up overdoing my sharpening. Just I like to make sure I'm done. Nothing is worse than mirroring an edge too quickly and then going back and finding out you missed a spot or that you weren't quite apexed and it's not sharp. These higher grit stones are harder to know how long to do though because it looks good right away after one pass. Okay. 2000 grit. And if you were looking to just get into the sharpening to a mirror edge realm, 2000 grit, it's a mirror. It's polished. That's what word I use a lot. I don't like to use the word mirror because it implies there's zero scratches on my edge. My edges are not a true mirror. There's some guys that do true mirrors and they spend a lot of time stropping and going up to super high grits, and I don't do that. My edges look really nice as is. And I'd rather not charge more and just give somebody something that they can live with and enjoy and take pictures of, and they'll still look good. If you're looking to just get like a basic mirror, like a shiny polished edge, you can just stop at 2000 grit with these stones. It looks good. I go to 5000 just to make it pop a little bit more. But at 2000 grit, it looks really good, especially if you hit it with the strop just real quick afterwards. By most people's definition, it's a mirror edge. And since I only charge $8 more to polish an edge, I try not to do it too crazy. Looks pretty damn good to me, though. The shitty thing about mirrors, though, is like I said, like they're easy to mess up and have to go back and fix them. Sometimes I just don't see a scratch and I have to go back down to like 150 to get something out that just doesn't go away. So it's not much more money, but it definitely can take a lot longer often. But this is coming together real nice, pretty quick. If I wasn't talking and doing this on camera, it'd be done 15-20 minutes. We're at 23 right now, yeah. 15 minutes probably if I wasn't doing this on camera. I used to spend, if you're spending an hour doing an edge, you're spending it's too long. You shouldn't be doing that. You need to figure out where in your process you are taking too long. I used to do that all the time. I'd spend an hour and I figure if it takes an hour, it's got to be better. And then I end up with an edge that wasn't aggressive. I overstropped it, trying to just polish and polish and polish and polish. But half hour with decent equipment, you should be able to mirror an edge. Okay, we're done. I take it out. And I've definitely, I don't like saying this even, but it's true. I've definitely reduced the amount of time I depend on stropping to bring out the mirror. I just use a 3 micron Guinea Juice paddle strop, starting on your presentation side because that's where the burr, if there's any left at 5000 grit, there's not much, but starting there, you want to take it off that side first. And we're at the right angle. You can tell by pushing into the leather as you tip the knife forward. So right there is about 20 degrees. It's not a perfect science stropping. You don't want to push too hard. Just want a quick pass through, make sure there's no little remnants of the burr. if you strop at too low of an angle and you're not hitting the apex of the edge, you're not doing anything really. But the bigger problem is you can shine up your primary bevel, the face of the knife, and you put a little polished ghosted edge on it. That's one of the reasons I don't like to strop too much. I don't want a chance putting a ghost image on my bevel. It looks gross. You want a nice crispy line on your mirror. It makes a big difference in how it looks, especially when it's not your knife. Okay, I think it's time for a new magic eraser. Let's cut this in half. Cut some of this shit off of it. Okay. Now, I ran out of gunny glow cleaner, which is what I used to use, but I have this EDCI junk, which is supposed to protect from rust, which it doesn't. But I've had it for a long time. It's just something to spray on to get wet, and then take my magic eraser, get off any remnants of the glue from the electrical tape. The main thing I'm doing is carefully running down the edge, removing any Sharpie that was left over. Like this side's got some Sharpie towards the tip. Always push away from the edge, which makes sense, but I have cut myself doing this more than once, so just be careful. Okay. Now taking a chamois cloth with the handle off, got some smudges on it. Chamois cloth is leather. It's very absorbent. It leaves no fingerprints. It leaves no oil. It doesn't just smudge stuff around like microfiber does. It's very good at cleaning everything off. And we're done. It's a small bevel, so it's kind of hard to see on camera, but we're all mirrored up. Looks good. Ultimate test, which I usually do before this. Make sure I can pull to the full edge and slice paper. This is nice and still aggressive. It still cuts well. If you overstrop, you will lose. You'll still be able to slice paper, but it won't feel the same, and it won't bite into the paper nearly as much. So we're good. We're good to go. That is a sharpened Vero LUX. This is a cool knife. The back flipper. It's got the V spot, so you can finger flick it. This one's a nice one. This might feel better than mine. And it's got a thumb flicker that I can actually use, which is pretty rare for it to actually deploy like that. So this is there you go. A big order I have in, and I got, I don't know, like 6 knives from this guy. Most of them are going to be mirrored, I believe. And I have one I'm going to reprofile down to 15 degrees from Spyderco from 17. Yeah. Thank you all for joining me. That was fun. I like doing this on camera. Even though it takes me longer, it's still enjoyable to get to talk through the process. So this is Tom Moore. Again, it's Thomas O. Moore on Instagram. Hit me up if you want anything sharpened. If it's factory like this, if it's dull, if it's damaged, I will take care of you. But Instagram, if you're watching this, is probably the best way to get a hold of me, or Facebook. Instagram, if you're not in the Facebook group, is definitely the easiest way. Again, thank you. Join the Facebook group if you're not in it. Peace out.